friends, welcome to the course of PHP and MySQLi CRUD tutorial. Inside this video, we will see add employee functionality. If I back to browser, so inside last video, we had successfully connected with our database. Now this time, we will start our add employee functionality. So if we click on this add employee button, we can see here we have our add employee form. Now inside this form we have some input fields like name, email, phone number and designation. So if we want to work on the functionality of this add employee form, we need to cover a few things like for the validation, it means server-side form validation, and also if we submit the valid input values, then we need to collect all the data and save inside our table_employees table. If I back to editor, now let's open add-employee.php. So whenever we submit with our valid input values, first of all we need to specify the action attribute of this form tag. Now go here. So right now inside this form tag we have a null action attribute. So first of all we need to pass some value so that whenever we submit all these values, after clicking on the submit button, it will go and submit all these form data inside this action attribute. Now what we want, that we are going to write our PHP code and MySQLi code. By the help of that we will save our form data inside table. So all those code will include inside this head tag. So let's say that whenever we click on this submit button, then these forms we are going to collect inside this add employee.php page. And by the help of PHP, MySQLi and object-oriented methods concept, we will save those data inside our database table. So we want the action attribute value of the same page. So what I will do, I will use PHP echo. We will use the global server variable of PHP, and inside this we will pass PHP_self. And also let's specify an IT attribute. So this will be IT frm-add-employee. Now if we save this change, go and reload, let's inspect this form. And if we see inside this action attribute of this form tag, so we'll see here we have a path, and this is the path of this add employee.php. So once we put all these values and whenever click on submit button, then this page will be submitted to this page. So inside this same page we will collect those data and save inside our table. So let's go back inside this head tag. And one more thing, inside last video I had told you that this is db-config.php. By the help of that we had connected with our database. So if we want to perform add functionality, it means insert command from our database, so we need to use this MySQLi instance. So what I will do, if we want to use this MySQLi instance to access our database and table, we need to include this db-config.php file inside this add employee. So we will use PHP and here let's say include once. Let's inside this single quote or double quote we need to pass this file name. So // it means current directory, and from this directory we need to pick db-config.php. Now once we include this file inside this, so we are able to access this MySQLi object, and by the help of this object we can call our object-oriented methods. Now here we will define our variables, PHP variables. So as we know, inside this form we have input fields as name, email, phone number and address. So let's say variables name equals to empty, email equals to empty. So these are PHP variables and we need to define 4 different times. First for the name, second for the email, third will be for the phone number, and fourth will be for the designation. And inside each line we need to pass our variable name, and this is the initialization value that will be empty. So I will go and write into a single line, that is name equals to empty, email equals to empty, phone equals to empty, and designation equals to empty. Now in a single line I have defined 4 different variables with an empty value, and these variables actually store form data. Now in case, let's say that if we want to put a server-side validation and the validation is off, like we want all these values, means these fields are required. So also we need to define 4 different variables which stores some error. Let's say in case if we are not passing any value for this email address, so the error message will be something like email address field is required. So in that case we need to store the error message into that variable. So what I will do, let's define 4 different PHP variables. So something called name underscore error, email underscore error, phone underscore error, and designation underscore error equals to empty. So in the first way these variables are empty, and also the error messages are also empty, so store error messages. Now next we need to check our form submission, because this single page, the same page is handling all about to display this form, and also when we submit to collect form data, validate and save inside database. So the same page is responsible for get request type and post request type. Now one more thing, if we go inside this form tag we need to define also the method type as well. So method equals to post type. It means we are going to submit this form using post request type. So let's go back to our PHP tag. So here what I will do, let's say if global server variable equals to, let's say request method, request underscore method equals to post. It means we have submitted our form data using post request type, then this if block will be executed. If I write here, let's say form submitted successfully. Otherwise if we go and put an else block, let's copy, and if I write this message something form is showing. Now if we save, go back to browser, let's reload. Now we can see here form is showing, but whenever we click on this submit button, form submitted successfully. It means while clicking on this button this if block is going to execute. So inside this if block we need to collect our form data and send it to server. It means send to PHP code to save inside database. So what I will do, let's say name equals to, and for the name value we will go and read via this name attribute. So I will copy this name attribute key, that is name. We will use a PHP function called trim, and another global variable of PHP, that is post. So by the help of this $_post name we are going to read the name attribute value of our name field. So here we are collecting our name, and also we are checking that if empty, it means the name value is empty. So in that case in this variable we'll store an error message, that is name field is required. So this is all about for the name field. If I copy the same code, let's paste 3 more times. This is for email address. So here it will be email. We will collect our email value into the name attribute of email field, that is email. Here it will be email, and in case of any error will store inside this email underscore error, and here it is the variable, so email field is required. Now next for the phone number, let's change phone. If you go and check the name attribute value, it is equals to phone here, something called phone underscore error, and this time the message will be phone field is required, or let's say phone number field is required. Now we have called designation, so I will copy, put it here. This is for phone number. Next we have for the designation, so it will be designation. Look at its name attribute value, that is designation, so I will copy, put it here, and in case of any error we will store inside this designation underscore error variable, so designation. Now if we save all these changes, so successfully we are reading all the form data, and in case of any error we are storing inside their respective error variable. Now let's go back inside this form tag. Right here inside each of the input field, let's define a span tag. So I will put a br tag, let's say span class error, and inside this we'll put the error variable. So for name field we have our error variable as name underscore error. I will copy, let's copy this br tag as well. So I will copy br tag and span tag. In case of email, it will be email underscore error. Go here, put it here. This is for phone number, and for the select field, put it here. Here we have the br tag, and the error will be something called designation underscore error. Now if we save all these changes, go here, let's reload this page. We are not submitting any value. Click on submit. As we can see, name field is required, email field is required, phone number field is required, and designation field is required. Let's put some dummy value in case of this name. This time, as we know that name field we have some value, click on submit. We are not getting any error inside this name, but look at inside this email field, phone number and designation, we have their respective error messages. Now we want that these messages will be in color, in red color. So what I will do, we'll use this error class. Let's copy the ID value of this form tag, go inside head tag, and here we'll define a style tag. Inside this style, this is the ID of form, and inside this form we'll have error class, and we want that the color of all the error messages should be in red color. Now save these changes, go and reload. Let's click on submit button. Now as we can see that successfully, as we can see that if we don't pass any value, all these error messages are coming. Now in the next video, we will see that if we pass the value of this name, email, phone number and designation, so after collecting all those values, how to save inside this tbl underscore employees table. So for this video session guys, thank you for watching and have a great day.